Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 6:02 p.m. Welcome to tonight's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of Monday, August 18th, 2025. Members of the public may participate in the public hearing. All participants will be able to speak when called upon. At this time, I would like to explain the procedures to be followed during the meeting. Item number 1, citizen comments, provides the opportunity for members of the public to address the Commission on items on the agenda. Since we have one item on the agenda for tonight regarding amendments to the Unified Development Code, I will first ask staff to present the proposed amendments, open the item for any comments from the public, and then return it to the Commission for discussion and voting. Persons wishing to speak on the proposal will have up to 5 minutes each to present his or her comments. Prior to speaking, please give your name and city of residence. Remember to speak directly into the microphone, as this hearing is recorded for the public record. Any handouts you wish to provide should be given to staff. Please do not approach the Commission. The next meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission will be Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. The next item on our agenda is citizen comments on items listed on the consent agenda. With one item on the agenda, though, we will go to item number 3, which is Ordinance Amendment 2025-264-UDC.
All right.
Would staff like to make a presentation?
Yes, I'll give you a presentation. Jocelyn Murphy, Director of Planning. So tonight is kind of the second of a two-part set of amendments that we have prepared in response to the Senate Bill 840. Senate Bill 840, of course, is the Senate bill that requires that cities permit multifamily and mixed-use districts in all commercial and most industrial districts, in most industrial areas. So the City of Irving we've worked through some of our ordinances, our various ordinances, and so we just want to go over a few of the amendments today that, again, kind of the second half of our responses to this bill. So Senate Bill 840, it's known as Chapter 218. Y'all will get used to that. So we'll start to move over to the Chapter 218 terminology. It requires that the city allow the greatest density within the municipality. The two zoning districts that we have that have a minimum density are our TOD districts and our urban business overlay. So the first change is in the urban business overlay to remove the minimum density of 40 units per acre and change that to reserved. And so we may go back in the future and use that section, maybe scrub it a little bit, but for now we're just putting it as reserved. We're also under the applicability section, just clarifying that the standards of Section 313 of the Unified Development Code, which y'all saw a few weeks ago, will apply to properties within the urban business overlay, except as contradicted by state or federal law. So again, if Chapter 218 does not allow any of the regulations, then we will not be applying those. We also are clarifying that any properties that have existing site plan zoning will apply to that property in lieu of the Chapter 313 regulations, or Section 313. And again, for Section N, multifamily development regulations, again pointing to any multifamily or mixed-use residential will meet the regulations of Section 3.13, which again you saw a couple weeks ago. And if there's any conflict, then Section 3.13 will control. For the TOD, transit-oriented development, the minimum density is 60 units per acre currently nearest the transit station. We are just creating a statement, essentially, that the taller structures should be located near the station and for the convenience to the transit options. So not setting a minimum, but just basically stating in terms of the form of what should be in a transit-oriented area. And then for the building guidelines, again, it has the 60, and just creating some language here that discusses how a residential development should act within a transit-oriented development area, be walkable and have street trees, and essentially just describing the environment of a TOD area. In the subdivision ordinance, we have a Section 5.1.3 required improvements that has a lot of detail. That is currently where we have most of our facilities discussions, our capital improvements. That is shifting into this new adequate public facilities, Chapter 53, that is in the Land Development Code. So we are simply simplifying the language in 5.1.3, basically to say that all adequate public facilities must be provided, and refer to Chapter 53 for those regulations. And then the last proposal is the stormwater management regulations. Those are also in the subdivision ordinance currently. There's Section 5.6. It's called stormwater management and drainage. We will replace that and just put a reserved tag on that for the moment, and move the entire section in verbatim with no changes into the Land Development Code. The reason we're doing that is because the subdivision ordinances apply when properties are being platted. If properties are not going to be platted, we want to make sure that the stormwater management regulations continue to apply to all developments. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Do any of the commissioners have questions? Doesn't look like it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor or in opposition to this item? All right. There not being anybody else who'd like to speak, I will return it to the commission for any discussion and a motion.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no other questions or discussion from the fellow commissioners, I'd like to make a motion. Ordinance Amendment 2025-264-UDC, amending Part 2 of the Unified Development Code, be forwarded to City Council for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, that being our only item, the meeting is adjourned at 6:09 p.m.